Hi, I'm Jennifer Poole,
And I'm Dave Poole.
and this is our 20 Days.
Well, we're going to talk about technology, and I appreciated the list you sent me. I don't have a particular one or thing that I wanted to talk about today. So, any one of the topics kind of strike your fancy?
Well, you had kind of mentioned wanting to talk about AI, which wasn't on that list,
Yeah.
but I have given at least a little bit of thought to over the last several days, and more I think about it, it's it'll be interesting to see whether it mirrors the internet in terms of and what I told our DP managers back in 1997 or something like that was as much hype as you hear today about the internet, reality is going to be way bigger than that.
Yeah.
And they just looked at me like, I said, this is going to end
How
up
could you exceed
being
this
way
hype?
bigger than that.
Yeah.
Right. So is this AI thing going to end up exceeding the hype, which is pretty, well, any more way news media works and gets funded, hype is sort of their stock and trade.
Yeah.
So, and then as you, so I'm still trying to formulate that opinion because we both have been through parts in our careers where we hear a lot of hype and a lot of stuff, and then because AI came up back in the days of our operations research in the 80s at Meade, and it just faded away. It was I don't think this is going to fade away, but the impact is going to be is a little bit more unclear. I'm not on the gung ho like it's going to be better than the internet. It's going to literally change industry after industry. On the other hand, I think it's going to have a profound impact on certainly on certain areas if it doesn't get litigated out of existence.
I think you make a good point there in that I don't know that it's going to be the technology per se that limits AI. There's going to be a whole range of, I think, legal and social things that are going to impact it as much as anything. So, for example, earlier this week, I think I saw the New York Times is suing somebody. I don't remember who, but somebody that's in the AI space for basically utilizing every word the New York Times has printed since some date as input to the AI engine that generates writings on demand.
Right.
And so again, I don't know, it's the New York Times protecting their intellectual property or looking to monetize it. I suspect it's got more to do with money than it does some philanthropic endeavor around this. But I guess that's the thing that, as somebody who, and I think of you as a creative type as well, I've also got the music part of my life. And I try to think of, okay, I feed this engine all of this data, the collective works of every musician ever known. And then out comes the most beautiful symphony or whatever. I'm not there yet. It's, where's the ingredient? Where's the yeast? Where's the provocateur in that recipe that says, okay, grow, do something different than that's ever been done before? I'm not there yet. I'm not there. I'm not convinced it can't happen, but it's just not clear to me what's the engine that's going to make that go.
Right. There's an emotional connection between people and how they view art of any kind and the artist. That's the way we've always looked at it. You get hooked on I'm a Queen fan or I'm a whatever. It's not just that music. It's the whole experience, and whether Taylor Swift and dancing around or whatever the heck it is. Well, people actually get emotionally attached to something that it's just music.
Yeah.
I don't know. I used to play my guitar years ago. I was attached to the fact that I was doing it.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
less about the music and it was more about my experience and trying to figure out how to make an F on my damn guitar, which was always a fit. But so I can talk a little bit about, we've had between Elaine and I, we've had a few experiences with AI, with a chatbot, as well as
Okay.
I've used it in a variety of things to, because I write a newsletter. So I've looked at it in terms of, wait, I need to write the newsletter anymore. Can I just give this to ChatGPT or Bard or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever?
Summarize
And
my
just,
last week. Yeah.
yeah, just, write me and I do that. I literally go in occasionally, but only for research purposes. I'll go, write me a 200-line article on President James Garfield. And generally what it comes back with is I would consider a sophomorish writing style. I would never. No, of course, I'm the creative person, so I look at it and I go, come on, this is like fourth grade level or something like that. It's just bland. But what I do use it for is ideas, because there'll be things that it pops up there, like he was noted for something or whatever. And I was writing an article on EVs and how it would affect your electrical system in your house, because it will. One of the dumbest things in the world is apparently no one actually can tell you how much instantaneous power you use. What's your peak load on your house? You would think that would be important.
Yeah, that's a data point. Yeah, you would think that's a data point that exists someplace.
And apparently it doesn't, as far as I can tell. But I was doing this research, and I asked one of the two, it was ChatGPT, give me 5 things that exist on a regular car that don't exist in the EV. And the first 3 gave me some really good talk. I hadn't thought about carburetors and your catalytic converters. I've got some good ideas. The 4th one was brakes. I go, I'm pretty sure EVs have brakes.
Pretty sure they have brakes. Yeah.
So the first 3 were very useful. The last 2 were like, what are you talking about? So that level of being correct is to me, very low. Not that it's not useful. It is very useful. But it generally just use it for research purposes to identify things that I can go and research and find out more about and write. So,
yeah. And, when I think about, at least a lot of the hype that I read says that writing as a profession is doomed. And they mean by writing anything that is communicating an idea to others is doomed because of AI. And like you point out, I've read a number of things that I've suspected were AI, and a lot of it has to do with the writing style, and it just doesn't come across as what I thought it should be. But more importantly, it's like it has these just random, obvious errors that no one's bothering to check. So and one of the readings I was doing was talking about creating AI generated photographs, and for some reason, it's well recognized that AI has an incredibly difficult time creating the human hand. And I don't know why. I mean, is there some really crazy mechanical difference that I'm not picking up? That's, I would think it would be something like a nose that would be difficult, because there's a lot of subtlety to a nose, and maybe there's more subtlety to a hand than I think there is. But just some of the stuff that comes across as being very error prone or error riddled surprises me, that it comes out that way, and the things that are error riddled. So,
yeah, I agree. So those, I don't. Maybe because people can't draw hands for the darn usually. And
I've never tried to do a bunch of artwork.
I have no talent in drawing whatsoever.
No, me neither.
I used to tell people that if I'd had PowerPoint as a kid, I'd have had so much fun. But drawing stuff, I wasn't that good at it, so it never something I pursued much at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
there's
was the
other,
same way. I think, my creative tools at age 3, 4, 5 were the spirograph, or what was the other thing? I think it was called a ViewMaster. It was
Mhm.
like a kind of like a 3D thing where you could slide little images, and it would have one image on the left eye, one image on the right eye, and they converge. And so it was kind of, I guess, like a 3D thing. But that was the extent of. What was the other thing? There was like a light box type of thing. I can't remember what it was called. It was like it just had little holes, and you'd put different color pegs in the hole,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and they'd give you printed sheets that you'd put over this thing, and it was kind of like a map to put red ones here and green ones here and white ones there, and you'd end up with a picture of Attila the Hun. I don't know, something. But yeah, that was about the extent of the creative things. Yeah, I think PowerPoint probably came into my life about age 20, 22, 24, something like that. I remember getting my, and this is one where, because I knew how to use the technology of the time a little better than the next guy, it got me through college faster. So I was down to needing to complete 2 political science courses to finish my degree in political science. And the kind of lead dog at the university there was a guy named Glenn Mackin, who was a bright guy, but notoriously lazy. He hated to grade papers. Um, so I had negotiated down to him basically for a 4 hour credit to write one big paper on why this was a big deal at the time, why at the time we should privatize Social Security. So I happened to work at a computer store at the time who was an Apple dealer. And we had just gotten the first Macintosh. We had just gotten the first, I think they called it the Laser Writer. It was their first laser printer. And and you'll like this, they also released an external, because that Macintosh only came with one single-sided 400K 3.5-inch floppy disk. That was the extent of the external storage that came with the device. But you could use a external 5 GB, not terabyte, but 5 GB. Might not even it might have been maybe 5 MB. I think it was 5 MB that was originally built for the Apple Lisa, and the thing was about, I don't know, a foot wide and maybe 4 inches tall and 4 or 5 inches deep, and I'm sure it was 4 MB now that I think about it. But I had access to all that, so when I turned in my finished paper, it looked like a published paper, because it was done on bright white paper with laser printing and all of that. And I'm not even sure Mackin read the paper. He just looked at it and gave me an A and sent me on my way. So chalk one up for technology in my department back in the old days. So it does pay to maybe something doesn't live up to the hype exactly, but you're able to extract enough of the hype value for your own good. That's a good thing. So
Yeah, I had 2 advantages going to college. I had an office and a terminal back when
yeah.
people had backpacks and punch cards. So I know what you mean. It's just like, man, you just get a little extra technology, a little advantage, and man, that made college so much easier.
Yeah.
But on AI, we recently had an experience with Luna AI, which we had not heard of. But story goes, Elaine went and bought a couple of centerpieces for Christmas, one for herself and one for a friend. And the one that got delivered to a friend wasn't a centerpiece. It was just a vase full of flowers.
Okay.
So she gets on, starts chatting with, which she didn't know at the time was an actual chatbot.
Okay.
It went back and forth across 2 weeks. And initially the chatbot went, yeah, well, okay, yeah, we see the error. We'll get it rectified. You either get your money back or we'll deliver the centerpiece. And this went on and on and on and on. And finally figured out It was a chat bot. Got a hold of a live person and got more runaround from them, and finally had to actually go to the credit card company to dispute the charge because we never got what we ordered, and that changed their tune. But that experience with a chatbot, that was really frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Something that wasn't properly monitored. It was, it's, for whatever reason, that left a bad taste in our mouth. Whatever, wanting to chat with anything. I mean, I chat with humans all the time online. That's okay. They tell you their name and all that kind of stuff, but don't like the AI from the chatbot. Not yet, at least.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of Our 20 Days. Join us on our20days.com for all the latest podcasts and other information. And please subscribe to Our 20 Days or join as a member for exclusive benefits. Thanks for joining us.